Hello guys, we're back, and yeah, I've just,
like traditional jails, most of them are only charged with crimes.
Oh, Sophie, it's soaking wet. You're not coming out.
Like other county jails in California, Sacramento's
What?
main jail is also affected by AB 109, a law that diverts convicts from state prisons to county jails.
AB 109 has brought about a different type of mentality inmate in our facility, and we're getting the people that have been hard most for 19, 20, 30 years into the system, used to a different environment once they're incarcerated. They're absolutely teaching trial inmates or first-time comers these things that wouldn't be taught to them by the prison mentality. So people that are brand new, you get a person who's drunk driving, he could be celled up with a guy who's been in prison for the past 20 years.
I do have Discord now. In Massachusetts, it's for some reason, and so yeah, and I'm gonna turn on some music.
And job training programs. One of the more unique programs occurs 30 miles south of downtown Visp, the county's sprawling ranch jail, the Rio Casunas Correctional Center.
Me and my broken heart.
AB 109 inmate Robert Carey has been in the horse program since it was implemented 5 months earlier. Its goal is to make wild horses rounded up by the Bureau of Land Management suitable for adoption.
Got one. This one. This one.
That's important.
Away, but you
This
eyes.
is only 1 year into a 12-year
What eyes?
sentence for manufacturing and selling firearms in high-capacity magazines without a license. Gary says he learned how to make guns from his father, who did so legally on their Pennsylvania farm.
It was just part of our everyday life. We'd go to the range and spend the whole day at the rifle range.
Oops.
Pick up brass and reload them. That's what I did when I was as a kid behind him. When I was like, didn't even know how to shoot, I would be out in the range just picking up buckets of brass so we could reload it and stuff. I think the smell of gunpowder maybe like it a lot or something.
Kerry says he had been manufacturing his own hunting guns for years.
They're called homegrown guns, and you can legally make one for yourself. You just have to, you can't sell them, and that's where I went wrong.
Kerry says he became financially stressed when he and his pregnant wife separated, with 3 other children to support. He says a friend put him in touch with someone willing to buy his guns.
I was looking for a way out to, to feed my kids and to survive. Yeah, I didn't know that was illegal. I did, and I was like, my back was against the wall, and I didn't know. I just figured I'd just do it just to get back on my feet again until I can get working. And until I said, well, I'll do it. So I met with him, and I sold him one. And he's like, well, now I want another one to go with it, so I have a different caliber. I said, okay, so I built another one, but not knowing he was an ATF agent, and that's where it all went bad for me.
Kerry says he sold the undercover agent 3 semi-automatic assault rifles, along with high-capacity magazines. For the final transaction, Kerry met the man in the parking lot of a department store.
I didn't even get like 2 feet from my vehicle, and the next thing I knew, there was like 30 vehicles all surrounding me, and they were all holding the same guns that I was building. So it was a different day for sure. To be honest, until I got arrested, the thought never, for some reason, never crossed my mind. He just seemed like he said he was into going to the range and liked to target practice a lot. So I screwed up. I did something I shouldn't have done.
Kerry, dump it out, bring it over, and put it back in that pen right there, okay?
Kerry says working at the horse ranch has helped make his 12-year sentence more bearable.
I call up that blue hose.
Today, Joe Meisner, who runs the program, and his inmate trainees are taking on a special project. Training a new group of horses on an accelerated timetable so that they will be ready for an upcoming adoption event.
Howdy, Mr. Dodd. Welcome to my swamp. The Bureau of Land Management is bringing 4 yearling fillies here. They're going to drive in with the trailer, back it up, 30 days of training is pretty fast. With a younger horse, they adapt rather quickly. And I and the Bureau of Land Management thought it'd be easier for them to gentle yearlings. They're babies,
Not
they've
your
only been
toe.
alive about a year.
Not your
And
toe.
they're smaller, a little easier to handle. Still wild, still pretty tough to get to. Yeah, I can grab another panel.
I'm looking forward to it. And exciting. I think that's awesome to be able to take them off of the land that they're coming from, and give a second chance. Kind of like us, we're getting a second chance, and they are too. So for me, it's kind of cool. So, a lot of similarity to it. We got that wild side we're working on. We're trying to work on that with them.
I'm excited because with these yearlings, it really gives these guys the opportunity to gain confidence. You can imagine if they're going to take on a filly that's about 3.5 feet tall compared to a 1,000-pound 4-year-old wild horse that's never been touched. It's pretty intimidating. Not that these guys couldn't stand to be intimidated a little bit, but trust me, those yearlings, they can kick and bite and pretty much ruin your day if they decide to also. So they'll find that out. Nice and slow.
To reduce the horse's anxiety during the drop-off process,
You know we don't have practice,
Meisner has
right?
decided to have the inmates
I don't
watch
care.
the distance.
So we just try to keep it as low key as possible. Everything you do, stay back, keep it calm. When they first get here, we got to give them a chance. They've been in the trailer for about 3.5 hours. They got taken out of a herd of probably 100 horses. There's all kinds of new stimuli.
After a few minutes, all 4 fillies have exited the trailer without incident.
Well, they came in pretty smooth, but they're a lot bigger yearling fillies than I thought. They're what we call a long yearling. They're closer to 2 years old than they are a year. I think it's going to be more challenging. Absolutely. These fillies are larger. They're a little bit wiser, and they're not going to convert real quickly. And it's going to be challenging, but I think we're up to it.
I mean, Mr. Jones said it a few times out here. There's going to be life-changing experiences out here that happen that are going to determine who you are as a person. And these horses show you who you are as a person. And if you don't like what you see, you got to start making changes.
Sacramento County's 2 jails, which combined house more than 4,000 men and women, are worlds apart. Located in the center of downtown, the main jail consists of concrete towers and small cells, where inmates are confined much of the day. The Rio Casunas Correctional Center, considered the county's branch jail, is in the heart of California's Central Valley farming belt. Once a World War II training base for Army pilots, it's a collection of barracks and other kinds of housing units with a look and feel more like a prison than a jail. Deputy Woods has worked at both locations.
At the main jail, it's more cell and more floors, and everyone's confined, everyone's agitated, everyone's upset, everyone's mad. Kind of like a dark and gloomy place. Here, when you come here, it's more outside, more fresh air, so it's a huge difference.
Rio Casunas also houses the majority of the jail's AB 109 inmates, or those who would normally be serving lengthy sentences in a California state prison. One of the benefits is that most are now closer to home, so they might get more visits.
I'm going to be honest, the word prison kind of scares me. I never thought of it. So, I don't want to go. But AB 109 is close to my family's closer. So I guess it's kind of not being like, hey, I'm in prison, kind of feels better.
But not all AB 109 inmates are happy with the law. One common reason is because prisons are structured for long-term stays, with more privileges and relative comforts than are typically found in jails.
I would much rather be in prison and actually go through a court process to try to get my sentence switched. Because for simple fact, there's conjugal visits, there's contact visits.
And since Carrie McConnell, who has had prior drug-related convictions, is now serving 10 years for possession of a controlled substance for sale, not being able to touch loved ones has an impact.
My fault, I had 12 years clean and sober, I relapsed. It's just a very, very difficult thing for me.
McConnell benefits, however, from the job training programs that are part of the AB 109 legislation. He works in the jail's computer-aided design print shop, which contains state-of-the-art equipment, along with professional instruction.
So before you mask it, what you want to do is just even pull that off.
But there's another downside for McConnell. As a non-violent inmate, he could be eligible for release after serving just 1/3 of his sentence, if he were in state prison. As a Sacramento County inmate, he must serve at least half his sentence. That's because in California, individual counties can mandate their own early release policies. And often, they are not the same as those adopted for the state's prison system.
You know, I'm doing 5 years out here as opposed to I'd be doing 3 years in prison. So, and I have a family and 2 young kids that like I said, I accept responsibility for the mistakes that I've made, but they're out there waiting for me.
I'd say the majority of the individuals that I've talked to would much rather be in prison. They just get a lot more freedoms. They have their own personal television or headphones, some comforts of home that they don't get here. There's a lot of infrastructure that a prison has that
You want some cheese or anything in it?
to get to. There's a lot of efforts being made to make life, I think, better, give people things to do throughout the day. But prisons have been doing this for a much longer time than a county jail.
One small privilege at Rio Casumas is the ability to check out a musical instrument. Nash Dake says he's been playing music since he was 7 years old.
This is called classical guitar. There's nylon strings on it. It's a pretty decent guitar. It has pretty good intonation on it.
What they do when they come to the window, they check out the guitar before they inspect, make sure all the strings are there, all the fret, basically the equipment is in good use. And then when they return it, we inspect it again, make sure everything's still there.
This is what I'm using for a guitar pick. It's a bent, sorry card. It's real good stuff he's got going on. And he's be able to play with just about anything, as you see. That, you know, we even brought a spoon over there and tried that out too. So anything, he can make anything happen there. He's really talented.
Dake has been sentenced to 2 years as an AB 109 inmate for auto theft and forgery.
You know, what's kind of brought me back basically is the dope, you know, the meth. I know what happens, you know, I know what not to do, and I know, you know, I basically know what gets me into trouble, and it's hard. It's hard out there.
I realized that was at my lowest low when I traded a guitar to the pawn shop for money. Then I took that money and turned around and I bought drugs with that. My mom actually bought me that guitar, you know, when I was a senior in high school, and she bought this guitar for me for $180. I traded it for $20 and a cheap buy. It broke my heart, honestly. When I couldn't pay to get that guitar back, I freaked out, you know. I made me want to use more drugs. Just forget that I did that.
Dake says he hopes AB 109 will help him do better in life. In addition to his involvement in the Wild Horse program, he's taken advantage of other parts of the law as well.
Like being sentenced as AB 109, there's all kinds of re-entry services, all kinds of stuff to get you back into society in the correct, positive way. And that's what I'm looking to do. Ironically, I asked God to save my life. And then I ended up stealing a car and coming out here. And my life is being saved and changed. So it's cool.
Adjacent to the Rio Casumas Correctional Center is a training facility utilized by the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office.
This is the Sacramento Sheriff's Department range. This is where we come to qualify. We qualify as deputy sheriffs twice a year with our firearms. We have 3 ranges here. As you can hear, there's a lot of firing going on in the range next to us.
While deputies assigned to the jail never carry guns, many of them will eventually rotate to street patrol.
You hear gunfire all day, every day. You have a whole lot of training going on here. Other departments come here, and then also inter-department training goes on here day and night.
We're located right next to the branch jail, the Rio Casumas Correctional Center, and also right next to the horse program. So all 3 are in very close proximity. And at the jail or at the horse program, you can hear guns going off all day long. You can hear the shots.
quickly these horses adapt to gunfire.
Eat, baby.
The Mustang has to adapt to survive in the wild. If it's not eating them, and it didn't eat them the last time it hurt the bang, I'm getting all worried. I'm gonna save my energy and run when I have to.
Lately, Joe Meisner's energy has been dedicated to fulfilling a request from the Bureau of Land Management to train 4 wild fillies within 30 days for an upcoming adoption event.
There we go. That's the easiest way to rope a horse right there. The challenge, first of all, when they first got here, we weren't prepared. We thought they were going to be smaller. Our fences weren't tall enough. We had to put up sight boards so they wouldn't jump out of the crowd. So yeah, we had to kind of bring our A game into the program.
Now that Meisner, who has been training horses since he was a young boy, has spent a few days of one-on-one time with the fillies, he's ready to introduce them to his team of inmate trainees.
The inmates are going to be working with 2-year-old fillies that have halters on them and lead ropes. They're going to be learning how to just interact. Ultimately, the goal today is to get these fillies responding to the guys on the ground. These guys will be learning how to breathe, relax, don't get scared, you're not going to get ran over, get out of the way real quick. Things like that are going to be going on. And we'll be able to make progress so that we can get them adopted to the general public. And you'll see when we start working with these 2-year-olds that these horses are really flighty and scared because they just don't understand. Okay, guys, gather around. I'm drawing her to me. I'm trying to draw her attention over towards me here. See that right there? That's good.
Meisner shows the inmates how to use a long piece of PVC pipe to build trust.
It's an extension of your arm. It's an opportunity to touch that animal because nothing has touched that horse other than another horse. So it's a way to desensitize these animals and keep us safe. You know, we can touch them from 6-7 feet away and I get kicked or ran over. She's acting kind of spooked, so I'll just take it down. So I'm reading her body language, trying to see what she's going to react. Okay? Stay with me right there. She's facing up. She faced away, I put pressure on her. Oh, let go. Don't try to hold on to it, okay? Just let go. Because that's what's going to happen. They're going to get a little wild, a little western here. I just keep going to the point where I can touch her, I can pat on her, and I can work my way up to where she'll reach out and touch my hand, see? I'm drawing this one, and this hand's coming forward. I want her to touch my hand. Just want her to know I'm okay. So we're just gonna connect right here for a second. She's a little bit afraid. Try not to look at her so much. I want her to just reach out and touch my finger. There we go. You just touched. So I'm just gonna spend time with her like this. This is the main thing, is just showing her that by being next to her, it's okay. And here in a couple of days, we'll be brushing her and leading her around and petting on her.
Some of the things that I thought I knew growing up with domestic horses is totally different than what, for example, like looking at the horse's eyes. I always just look at them and walk up to them. And we know now that the wild horses think that I'm a predator, but I know not to look at them and, no eye contact.
So you walk towards the right hip, there you go, pick up on your lead rope. Up there, now relax. These guys are touching wild horses for the first time today, and they're doing a great job, but it changes moment by moment. You can offer your hand up to her, don't pull that rope. It's okay. It's all right, just stand your ground a little bit.
I was a little apprehensive at first just because I wasn't sure how she was going to react, but that was really cool just knowing that she's the second person I ever touched her. It's kind of cool. So I'm looking forward to getting there and doing some more work with her, hopefully.
Okay, just relax.
Nash Day is still at the observer stage.
There you go. Just relax.
I'm not that worried about getting to know the horse. So it's pretty exciting to see that, and now to see that I'm actually going to be part of that and have my own horse in the break,
They're learning how to be leaders right here. They're learning how to offer themselves up and to give something back to something. And then the reward is the way that horse responds to them. So I don't think they've ever had that in their life. I think for these guys, learning how to read the situation is key to their life. I hope that they'll carry these lessons on when they leave here. Hey, good young team. Yeah, this is not a place to be, Jim. We do not want to be candidate in this place here.
Nobody ever asks for a long-term stay at the Rio Casunas Correctional Center. It's one of 2 large jail facilities run by the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office. But Robert Carey and Nash Day made the most of it.
We usually move everything out of the way at that time. We end up using the table. Yeah, it was our table. Double the table for us. We feel a lot of time playing cards lately.
Carey is serving time for illegally manufacturing and selling firearms. He says he did so during a financially stressful time. He now wishes he had just reached out for help instead.
No doubt that it's wrong, because I had other avenues of just, that man has pride and,
Hey, baby, we're not home.
caveman
Go,
style.
son.
We don't ask for help, we don't ask for directions,
As a trainee in the Wild Horse program, Carey knows that not asking for help can lead to big problems for both him and La Nina, the recently arrived filly he has been working with. And when it comes to help with horses, there are few better people to ask than Meister.
We need people that are teachable and willing to learn. And he's got a little bit of time left on his sentence, so I told him I want him here as long as he possibly can.
With another 3 years before
Ow,
he's
ow, ow,
eligible
ow.
for parole,
It hurts.
Carey has a chance to become one of Meister's most experienced trainers. His goal today is to try to get a lead role in La Nina.
Watch that hip. Watch her ear. Give her a second here. She's trying to tell you she's not so sure about being a cop yet this morning. Carey's the kind of guy that will go after a job and he'll stay on that all day. And he tries to think ahead and tries to come up with problem-solving situations. And that's a good thing to some point. But you also have to be able to take instruction and not go beyond that instruction. Relax, watch yourself. Just hesitate there for a few minutes. Okay, now go back to that same position and hesitate. Watch yourself. You're getting in a bad position there. Hang on. You may not believe it, but you have some emotion coming out of you. Don't go over the nose. Go to the withers. To your right a little bit. There you go. Touch the shoulder. Now walk away. Walk away. Walk away. See how she's drawn to you? I know you want to catch her. She knows you want to catch her, but don't go to catch her. Okay? He's kind of used to just kind of doing his own thing. Carey's not a young guy. He's in his 40s already. A little set in his ways. So him coming in and having to take direction and stay on task and not think past what was being asked of him, he's had to work at it. And he has. He's really come to the plate, and he says things like, well, I just thought I better check with you before I went and did this. And that's exactly what I want to hear. Okay? Now reach just slightly under, pet her neck, and grab your halter rope. There you go. There you go. Good.
It's been a challenge for myself learning some of the new techniques. Then Mr. Joe will step in and, hey, this is a little easier way of doing it. You're like, wow, why didn't I try that? It's just amazing how his ability.
So act like you don't even have to guide her now.
Nash Day is still in the early stages of the program. He says he was nervous around horses when he first came to the ranch.
These other guys are a little bit more progressed, and so he was wondering at what point am I going to be, really involved in this situation besides picking up and doing it. But that kind of depends on them. And I think he's realizing. Be patient with her. Be patient with yourself. You're fine.
There have been times when I've questioned whether or not this program was right for me. But that was when I was still, I was afraid of the horses. I was, honestly, it's a big animal, it's got a lot of power. But then I realized that you gotta take their fear and curiosity and their sensitivity to work with them. And you can't be scared.
Dake has been gaining experience by working with some of the domesticated horses Meister keeps at the ranch.
From working with these animals, you learn a lot about yourself. The animal ends up actually being a reflection of who you are. So if you're not confident, calm, caring, and passionate about what you're doing, then the horse is going to know that. I mean, it's changed my attitude towards life. It's like when I leave here, I want to get a job. I want to start working. I want to be productive. I want to be an active member of society. I don't want to sit there and waste my life with pet and family. There's no point in that. It's ruined a lot of things. I'm making the necessary changes in order to be somebody.
Everybody needs to know that they're worth something. And just because you've made mistakes doesn't mean you can't change. And a lot of times when you're in a situation that your life is spiraling out of control, you think this is never going to change. This is the way it's going to be for the rest of my life. And you don't know that until the heat gets turned up, and you have to either change or stay. But these animals, they touch it. And I see him hugging on his horse. He has more empathy now, more understanding. He's willing to put himself out there for that horse, you know, and it's changing.
It's another day and another important lesson for the inmates involved with the horse program at the Rio Casumas Correctional Center near Sacramento.
You guys ready for today?
Yes, sir. Did we lose some horses today?
We lose 2 horses today. Two horses.
A month earlier, Joe Meisner and the inmates were asked to train 4 fillies on an accelerated schedule, 30 days instead of the usual 120 days, for an upcoming adoption event.
You gotta pet her like she's your girlfriend. Not like you're smacking her around, buddy.
Meisner feels that they beat the odds by having 2 of the fillies ready to go.
You have to take into mind, these guys have not had the opportunity of years and years of working with wild horses. So we have a school of hard knocks where they're having to learn with me telling them, no, get in this position, move back, get in that position. And they have to figure that out for results to happen. So I'm extremely pleased with the progress that these guys are showing.
But the day brings one of the most challenging lessons for the inmates.
Today what we're going to do is we brought our horse trailer in. We'll teach them how to load and offload in the trailer a little bit. We'll be doing some time with that. And then we'll load up those 2 fillies, get them ready to be shipped off. They'll be adopted tomorrow, hopefully. Saturday they'll find a new home.
Which 2 are going today?
La Niña and Doc.
Doc. Sad to see him go.
Robert Carey has been working with La Niña.
You can offer your hand up to her. Don't pull that rope. It's okay. It's all right. Just stand your ground a little bit.
Good. Good and sad at the same time. Like that. She's leaving. Well, when I started with the ears and I found out she really like has a soft spot where she kind of leans into you. And the ears, when their ears are forward, they're really calm and relaxed. She's got a lot better. From when she first started, she tried fighting. Now she's got it all kind of figured out.
Though the 2 fillies have become more domesticated, Meisner anticipates that having them file into a small transport trailer is going to be hard, considering that they were running wild only a month earlier.
Mr. Torres, hand off to Mr. Torres, and you can hang out and watch and see how this is going. That's for damn sure. Yeah.
Though Carey has worked with La Niña, Meisner decides to use Hector Torres, a more experienced inmate, for this last task.
Hey, Carey has a strong desire to be doing this, but him and I have talked, and he's just not physically at the point where he could be effective to where it's going to be helpful. So it's going to take him a while to get to that point. I applaud his desire to be doing exactly what these guys are doing, but he's just not at that level yet. And when he gets there, he'll be confident at it, and then he'll be effective. When he's not confident right now, and he's not effective, so that doesn't help the horse win. And him too, because he's going to get hurt, and then he's not going to want to do it at all. And I don't want him to get hurt. Bring her back to it.
Put the phone down and eat, please.
There you go. Good. The guys are showing that they're adaptable, that they're teachable. So if they can follow instruction, that makes them employable, doesn't it? That makes them willing to step up and do something that they've never done before, but there might be a benefit for them. So hopefully that's starting to sink in. Now keep her straight. Okay? All right.
It takes a few attempts to coax La Niña into the trailer.
Okay, one more time. This time she can get all 4 in. She's going to step in. She's going to come all in. Just bring her all in. Good. Now pet her. Love her. Pet on her. Awesome job, dude. That's fantastic. You just thought that